before you play it. So people
Go ahead.
often talk about the river to the sea. Oh, we need to free Palestine from the river to the sea. So people have gone to Palestinians in the West Bank, in Judea and Samaria, and asked them, what does the slogan from the river to the sea mean to you? What's going to happen once Palestine is free to the Jews?
Okay, so I'm
So
gonna
let's
play it.
watch. Yeah.
When Palestine is free from river to sea, what happens to the Jews?
لما فلسطين تتحرر من النهر للبحر شو بصير في اليهود؟
راح نموت يعني راح نرتاح نشوف حياة أحسن.
They're gonna die. It's gonna be better. We're gonna have a better life.
Can they stay?
ممكن يضلوا؟
No. When Palestine is free from river to sea, what happens to the Jews?
Are we breathing?
Yes.
Okay. لما تتحرر فلسطين من النهر للبحر شو بصير في اليهود؟
أكيد مش رايحين موجودين إن شاء الله على أراضي فلسطين يعني.
شو رأيك روان؟
أكيد رايحين يطلعوا يعني.
God
كل حدا رايح يرجع بلده. كل يهودي رايح يرجع بلده رايح يرجع لبلده.
They won't be here when Palestine is free.
When Palestine is free from river to sea, what happens to the Jews?
لما فلسطين تتحرر من النهر للبحر شو بصير في اليهود؟
Palestine is free from river to sea, what happens to the Jews?
هذا السؤال من برا، الناس حابة تعرف لما تتحرر فلسطين من النهر للبحر شو بصير في اليهود؟
شو بصير في اليهود؟
شو بصير؟
فيش يهود يوم بدها تتحرر. ما في يهود أصلا. يوم بدها تتحرر بدهم يطلعوا من عندنا طبعا.
There won't be any Jews when it's liberated.
So the way it's phrased, when they say there won't be any Jews, both the people didn't say explicitly kill. Like the way it's phrased implies it's not that they won't, like they'll move. One of the women I think implied moving, like being sent away. But the other two people who said there won't be any Jews didn't mean there won't be any Jews present here. They mean there won't be any Jews.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what answers
This is
would you
from the river
get?
to the
This is in Judea and Samaria, so-called West Bank,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
What answers would you get if you ask this from Arabs, Israeli Arabs, on average? Israeli Muslim Arabs.
It depends. Way less, obviously, than what they get there because they're not indoctrinated by UNRWA. There are some that would hold these positions. I don't know the percentage, and also like it depends on if you ask them what they secretly think, or if you ask them to say something publicly. Publicly, they'll have to something like skirt the line, say, "Oh no," like they'll probably like avoid the question. And I think people have strong opinions in both directions if they're asked off the record. So it'll be muddy on the record. Off the record, some people will be like these guys, and some people will be.
And in contrast to that, Israelis who want a one-state solution, right? What do they say about the people in Gaza and Judea Samaria? What do they want to happen to them?
So the people in Gaza is a bit of a different story after October 7th, because a lot of the people who did October 7th were civilians. And so a lot of people are now, it's not about forcing them out, but since a lot of them want to leave, the sentiment is just allow them to leave. That's a much better solution than whatever would happen if we're stuck here together. As far as Judea and Samaria go, most people like what's called transfer, which is a removal of the population. Again, not a killing of the population, but a removal of the population, is considered a fringe far right solution. So I would say less than 20% of Jews. I would comfortably say less than 20% of the Jews hold that position. Probably less, probably around 10. I would say that's transfer. That's not the genocidal things that these guys want. I think the most popular position on the right, like the left would also go for a two-state solution because they trust the Palestinian Authority, I think wrongly. But on the right, the Emirate solution, which is to say give large cities autonomy and be like under Israel's umbrella, join the Abraham Accords, acknowledge Israel as a Jewish state, and have your own economic and cultural connections with the Israelis, but you have your own autonomy, so you can run your own area. I think that's the most popular solution nowadays. Or let's say that leftward, that or something that's even more given Palestinians authority would be like 70% of the population probably holds that kind of position.
Guy, can I ask you a question?
Yes.
So, what about the position? I've heard Goldie talk about this, so I'm curious. The position of Judea and Samaria belong to the Jews, and that the Gazans should just be transferred to Jordan or Lebanon. How is that? Does that position have any popularity in?
That's what I meant by transfer. That's the transfer solution. It's considered far right for the most part in Israeli discourse.
Okay.
It's becoming, since October 7th, people are more open to it,
Mhm.
but it's still not by any means the consensus. Whereas for Palestinians, there is a poll. I'll see if I can quickly find it. There's a poll that says essentially that what do you think for those who support the two-state solution, why do you support it? And like I think 2/3 of them are like it's a great middle step. So yeah, so you can understand why people might be hesitant to trust the Palestinians. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, okay, I have 2 points on this. One, and this is harsh, but I genuinely think that there's a lot of the people in there that probably just don't need to be on Earth. They need to be transferred to Jesus. Sorry.
Or Satan. Either or.
I don't care. But yeah, transfer to, another realm. I'm sorry, but like I think that if you participated in October 7th, then your right to life is kind of forfeited. That's where I stand on that.
So Shana, we're talking about the terrorists, okay? So just be careful with
the people who participated. That's what I mean. Yeah, specifically the people who
participated in October 7th?
Yes.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, that's sorry to clarify. That's what I mean. But I know that a lot of those people are still in there, and
that's not even a radical view, Shana. But
well, some people think it is.
Some people have not watched the 47-minute video.
That's true.
Yes, but even with the views that I agree with, we have to be very, very careful on how we express it for you to.
I have to go. Like I said, it's going to be a quick circle out. I gotta go. We're moving our bed. Oh. I'll be back if I can. Bye.
Bye, Shauna.
Bye, Shauna.
Bye, Shauna.
Bye, Shauna.
Okay, can I chime in on this one?
Yes, of course. Yeah, but wait, Sid, you don't need to ask permission. You are in charge actually. So go ahead.
Oh.
You're gonna be the.
You're gonna be the host. You.
I see.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
So yeah. So I believe this is from Corey Gil-Schuster, right? This is his content.
I think so.
Yeah, I think so. So my guess, Guy, and I'm not sure, my guess is that this is actually several years old.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. Okay. So if anyone thinks like this is something to do with Gaza, it has nothing to do with Gaza. Okay. This is
no. No, it's nothing to do with Gaza.
So I was just basically Gaza didn't happen when these interviews were conducted. It's important for people to know that. Okay. So that this is not a reaction to any current conflict.
And it's not a fringe view either, right?
Yeah, no, but this is exactly the point, right? This is exactly the point. So a couple of people say like, why isn't this reported on? Well, so this is actually old news, right? This is actually old news, and this is the issue: is that it's just like they can say this with incredible confidence that their perspective will not be brought to Western audiences, that it will be denied to Western audiences so that they don't understand the conflict. That is the reason why you cannot know this, okay? Because solidarity with the Palestinian movement depends on a totally different framing than the Jews should be eliminated and exterminated. Okay.
Yeah.
So this is my frustration. I encourage people to understand the conflict, and I know that people who understand the conflict will not always share my perspective. I recognize that. My problem is that they are being lied to, and I think in many ways they are demanding to be lied to, so that when they wave the Palestinian flag, they can feel moral. They can feel morally righteous. This is a real reflection of the conflict. Okay, it's a real reflection of the conflict, because the Palestinian national movement, so much of it is exterminationist by design. At its core, in its DNA, it's exterminationist. Now the question is, what kind of negotiation can you have? What kind of compromise can you have with an exterminationist movement? Kill
This is
half of
very
them, kill a quarter of them. Will that be okay? You know, maybe okay, you want to
That's a
kill us all.
compromise, yeah.
We want to, we will, maybe would you accept half? So this is the absurdity of it. Now, the issue is, if there's ever going to be a peaceful resolution, this has to change. This has to
Yes.
change. And there is zero pressure on them to change it. On the contrary, they are being enabled and encouraged to have this kind of sentiment, knowing
Yes.
that it will delay any kind of peace, any kind of prosperity for them.
this is very
The
I find this very helpful, because I've always wondered ever since October 7th. I'm like, how is it that American liberals can go out into the streets with so much confidence and defend the human rights of the Palestinians, when I've seen a handful of images, because I'm a coward. I don't have the heart to look at the more graphic videos and images from October 7th. I just can't. I don't have the constitution for it. But I'm like, at no point do these people protesting in support of Palestine have any consideration for the 1,300 people that were the women and children that were brutally raped and mutilated, and like, it's just uh, so,
we
but
talked
when you put it that way, it's like, oh, of course they don't care, because that's what they actually want. So it's not, there is no hypocrisy. It's like, that is their position. They want that to happen. So of course they're advocating for this.
Right.
Okay,
What
so
are the
I have to go.
Okay, sorry. Go ahead,
So I
go
want to
ahead.
say a couple things first, and then you can continue reacting to this. One, I don't think you need to watch it. It is traumatizing. There's the descriptions, like we talked about in a couple of streams ago. Like, they put a live baby in a microwave while their mother watched. Like, you don't need to see this. The people who are against Israel, morally, they're obligated to see this. Because if you are against Israel, you need to understand what Israel is fighting. Now, Armin, I sent you another picture. Can you quickly bring it up? I'll talk about it very briefly, and then I have to go.
Okay, give me a second.
I was
Imagine
saying,
being
if you see
that
the
mom
footage, you
having
lose
to
all
watch.
faith in humanity.
Imagine being that mom
I
having to watch that.
Yeah, no, it's the less you think about it, the better. We should not talk about it beyond, like, people can have their own thoughts after I said this. This is something that happened. This is the level of brutality and sadism that was on display. And the less we talk about it, the better, because it's traumatizing enough just thinking about it. So this is a graph. I don't. It's probably too small. Can we actually just do a screen only in a way that? Okay, there we go. Good. West Banker's responses to what is your personal opinion about what should be the top Palestinian national priority during the coming 5 years. This is, if you look at the chart, it's from, like, go a bit lower. Okay, so this is from 2017 to 2020. Okay, as of 2020, which is the year this poll was put out, 66% said regaining all of historical Palestine for the Palestinians from the river to the sea. We already saw what this means. Okay, 66%. And the next one, so this is West Bank. The other one is Gaza. The second one is Gaza. It's similar. It's like 58%. Okay, so 2/3 of the Palestinians think that over the next 5 years, their focus should be on from the river to the sea. And we just saw what your everyday run-of-the-mill Palestinians understand by that phrase. This is the Palestinian national movement. It's not a constructive movement. It's a destructive movement. It's an anti-Israel movement. It's the Jews should not have sovereignty in this land because they're Jews, because they should be subservient to Muslims. That's where it started. And that's where it's going. And the reason the UN is funding bodies like UNRWA, who brainwash children to believe in this ideology, is because the UN is largely controlled by people who have this kind of mindset about Jews because of the vast number of Islamists that have a say in what the UN does. People say that like criticizing Israel is not anti-Semitic. The thing is that the criticisms that you are fed are lies, and the reason there's this much lies about Israel is because Israel is the land of the Jews. So it's not immediately anti-Semitic. It's just that the framing that you are getting, that you are being fed, is based in anti-Semitism, is fueled by anti-Semitism. Okay, so and with that,
before you go, can you guess 2 super chats because it's relevant to everything you're saying?
Yes.
Can you read them and respond to them quickly?
Yes. So Stick and Beans is saying that is why right-wingers in Israel are saying all along there are no innocents and not involved people in Gaza nor in Judea and Samaria. Yeah. So when you talk, I mean, it goes a bit far. Like Ahmed Fouad al-Khatib is an innocent person, and he was in Gaza. There are some innocent people in Gaza. Unfortunately, Ahmed Fouad al-Khatib, who is an actual peace activist, Palestinian peace activist, who has a constructive project that he's promoting, is not representative of the Palestinian movement. If he was, there would already be peace. I wish he was the president of the Palestinian movement, but he is incapable of being the president of the Palestinian movement because that's not what the Palestinian movement is. And so it's not that there aren't. Yeah.
Can I just jump in there for 1 second? Because Al-Khatib, right? So he's somebody that I follow and that I occasionally disagree with. But I am quite confident that he's sincere about peace. And that's what's so rare. What's so rare, in this conflict, looking at the other side. It's, the video that we saw, that's more representative of the modal perspective of the Palestinian, not just the people on the street, but also the politicians. The way they talk is often eliminationist. Right. So
yeah.
there's very few. There are some.
I have
but
to go in a couple minutes,
sorry.
So I need to get through the next super chat. So in Steak and Beans continues with Rav Kahana was right. You can't deny it now. So here's the thing. Rav Kahana, I think Meir Kahana, was largely excommunicated from Israeli society because of his positions that were largely what people imagine Israelis' positions are. Ben Gvir recently was interviewed and he said, I don't believe Kahana was right. Kahana had like a transfer. He essentially said peace is impossible between the river and the sea. And people, like when people say Kahana Tzadak, Kahana was right. This is what they're talking about. But he also had other positions about like Jewish supremacy that everyone rejected. And even Ben Gvir, whatever he thinks in his head, he knows that he can't go to the public and say that he thinks Kahana was right. And that tells you where Israelis are. Israelis are not as extreme as to say we should transfer all Palestinians, because if they were, then Ben Gvir would be able to get votes by saying that. But he has to at least pretend to be moderate, to have moderated over the years. Maybe he has, but at the very least, he has to pretend that that's the case to get votes. And even though people now agree that a lot more people agree, and this is, I assume, what Steak and Beans is saying, that peace is impossible with the Palestinians. The rest of the sentiments of like Jewish supremacy and things that people assume Israelis have, like believe, not only were they not true then, and he was excommunicated, and when he would stand up in the Knesset, people from all the political sides would walk up and walk out. Even now, after there has been some movement rightwards, the most right-wing party in Israel, Otzma Yehudit, refuses to say that they stand with him. So that's the gap, that's the chasm between what the Palestinian national movement is and what the Jewish national movement is. Because the Jewish national movement is constructive. And unfortunately, when you are constructive and you're not ashamed of your identity, and people try to kill you and murder you in the most vile ways possible, which they have done on numerous occasions in the history of Jews living in this land, like the Hebron massacre, for example. So if people think this is just the occupation, the Hebron massacre happened in the 1930s.
1929.
Yeah, sorry, 1929, but well before Israel existed. Then you have to defend yourself, and this is self-defense, because when people they're weak, but them being weak doesn't make them right. Them being weak just makes them weak. But if they were strong, they would do October 7th to everyone here, to every Jew living in Israel, and every Arab who refuses to go along with the plan to do this to every Jew. And that is the reality that Israelis have to deal with, because for us, the threat level is very real. After October 7th, a lot of people truly think that fundamentally their life here is brittle and in danger, and not only in danger, but it's not just dying, it's dying in the most horrific ways you can imagine.
Yeah.
By people
Right.
who are next to us that the world is siding with. Yeah.
Thank you, Guy.
Thank
That
you,
was
Guy.
a really good answer. That was perfect. Thank you for sharing all of that.
That was
That
amazing.
was
Thank you so
fantastic.
much.
Yeah.
And with that,
All right.
I'll bid you adieu. And
Okay.
I will do
Oh.
probably either next week or the week after that, after I move, I'll do a stream talking about
Right,
like
guys,
just
stop
going through a
touching.
bunch of
Guys,
resources like this.
before you say that, stop touching your microphone stand. Okay, but go on, say that again.
Either next week or more likely the week after that, I'm going to do a stream, either alone or with someone else. We'll see. Maybe Sid if he's up early enough, where we go through a bunch of these things that are unequivocal about what Israel is, what Palestine is, and what justice looks like in this conflict.
I need to be a part of that stream. Please send me an invite. I don't care if I have to get up at 5 a.m.
Okay. So Armin, create the Telegram group and we'll figure it out.
Yes. Guys, make sure, but I mean, it's going to be on Guy's channel, so the link is in the description. So guys, now Guy is at 854. You saw how amazing he is, so please make sure you subscribe to his
Show
channel.
him more love. Get Guy to 1,000.
Yes, get him to 1,000. Link is in the description. Oh, Siggy Means with another super chat.
Yeah, sorry, I need to respond to this.
Okay.
By God, Guy, you're so PC. I don't know what people you hanging out with. Around here, 90% of people are so right-wingers and very Rav Kahanist now after October 7th, and so many Israelis
Read
stopped being
read
PC.
it properly because
okay,
read
sorry.
it slowly.
Yes.
Okay.
You said this to me already? Okay. By God, Guy, you are so PC. I don't know what people you're hanging out with. Around here, 90% of people are so right-wingers and very Rav Kahanist, and now after October 7th, so many Israelis stopped being PC. And I'll explain what I mean. So being Rav Kahanist is several things. Kahana, the position when people say Kahana Tzedak, usually they mean we can't coexist with the Palestinians. And as I said, many more people now hold this position. Kahana had other views that most people disagree with. And I think that's still true after October 7th. And a lot of the people who say Kahana Tzedak don't actually know everything that Kahana stood for. And it could also be that I'm wrong, right? But from my understanding of what Kahana stood for. And I happen to know that you are in Judea and Samaria. So you have also a selection bias in the people you're around and people you speak with. And like if you look at opinion polls and at what the actual electorate is like, Ben Gvir is the most right-wing party in Israel. He gets less than 10 seats, according to the polls, even the Channel 14 polls. Like it doesn't matter which poll you look at, he doesn't go past 10. And even he refuses to say Kahana Tzedak. And I think that says more about the broad Israeli society than whatever people you might be talking to. I'm not talking from I don't discuss Kahana with people on a day-to-day basis, but just looking at the actual data that we can glean things from, Kahana, the totality of what Kahana says is not a popular position. There are things that Kahana said that might be. For example, we can't coexist with the Palestinians. I think more people after October 7th are now understanding this. But yeah. Okay. So, and with that,
right.
I will bid
Thank
you adieu.
Goodbye, guy.
Bye,
Bye,
guys.
everyone.
Thank you so much for. Bye.
Bye, Guy.
That was great, guys. Everybody, make sure you subscribe again to Guy. Let me see. Did that increase? Let me see. Okay, we got one more. Okay, fantastic.
Okay.
All right, guys, keep
going, and I'll
subscribing. Link
turn
is
this into a clip. I'll upload it to my channel as well. Just this portion.
awesome. Okay, fantastic.
Ar-
All right,
Armin,
thank you. Yeah, yes, but
Can-
before
can-
you say anything, Elisa, before Sid, you're blurry, and I don't know if you're reading the private chat because I told you in the private chat that you're blurry. So if you could fix that, that would
Why
be
am I
great.
blurry?
And go.
Oh,
Yeah.
sorry. Maybe I know
Okay.
why. Hold
So
on.
Elisa, yes, Elisa, go ahead.
Okay, 30 seconds. Everybody, if you're not already in the discussion group, can you please either click the link or scan the QR code, join the discussion group? Because as a Christian, I'm very much interested in this sort of Palestine narrative, right? Because so the thing is that I spend a lot of my time in the New Testament because I'm a Christian, and not as much in the Old Testament. So I've been working to correct that. And earlier this year, I read Genesis all the way through for the first time in my life. And when I read Genesis, I was like, hold up a minute. Because, all of the stuff about how, like, the Palestinians have always been there and blah, blah, blah. But then I read about Abraham and I read about, how he paid the shekels to buy the land in Hebron's where he buried Sarah, and Abraham is buried there, and Isaac and Jacob are buried in Hebron. And all of a sudden I'm like, what? And then when I go to do an internet search or to ask AI about the history of Palestine, the history has been manipulated so thoroughly that I keep on getting the same propaganda about Palestine has always existed, Palestinians have always been there. And I'm like, but that's not what the Bible says. And I know that the Bible is true. So, it's the math ain't mathin'. So I know we don't have time to talk about this right now because we're going to cover the video, but come to the discussion group because I'm going to ask that question again in the discussion group. So please join us there.
Okay. Yes, guys, the link. So Elisa would be there. Sid would be there.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to
in about
talking
2
about
hours.
that.
Yes, the link is in there. It's interesting because me and Sid are not Christian, so we would like to see. You can see the Christian perspective and the non-Christian perspective on this, right? Guys, the link is in the description and the link is in the QR code. Thank you, Elisa, for reminding people of that. My name is Armin Navabi. I'm an Iranian political analyst with decades of experience fighting the Islamic regime inside and outside of Iran. Make sure you follow me for more, and also make sure you join our discussion group. I'm there almost every single day. Come talk to me there and the rest of the people there in our group calls. It's a great place to meet and talk to people who like talking about politics. The link is in the description and or in the bio. You could also get there by scanning the QR code on the screen. See you there.